You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vogt.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 242. Oh my goodness, who would have thunk? Not me, as Paul Rudd once said. Without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way in Granite Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Vogt, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, last week we talked about how things can be exciting and how you get to a certain point in life and age where things get a little bit exciting. But now with everything in life, there are ebbs and flows. Last week we were flowing. Now this week we were ebbing. And lo and behold, early this morning, I threw my back out. Somehow, one way or another, and I spent the whole day miserable at work because I threw my back out. And I'm struggling since then, but nothing that a handful of ibuprofen can't fix. Feeling pretty decent right now, but we'll see what happens here in a couple hours and try to get back under my feet. But at least I'm sitting down here. My back doesn't hurt when I sit down. It's just when I get up and start moving around. It was, safe to say, miserable at work today. But hey, at least we got this. I'm excited. Should be a good show as always.
Well, as long as you're upright, you got the back straightened out and everything like that, we're in good shape. So, with that being said, Voldy, a lot's been happening amongst the sports. But before we do that tonight, we have a breaking news. We did not tease this, but I think that's good just to come out with a surprise. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to start off the show being like, hey, we got a surprise for you guys to start the show. We do. So, Voldy, we were talking about this probably, I don't know, a month or two or something like that. We're like, you know, we have this new logo, as you guys know, with the because of our 5-year anniversary, as you can see right there.
There it is.
We decided to put that into merch. And Voldy, can you tell the zoners what merch you have for that? Hit us.
Of course. And with everything that we need in this world, and of course now with a added step of more merch to celebrate our 5th anniversary, we've got a special hat. That's right. That's right. We got a hat. Oh, wait. It's not just one hat. It's 2 hats. We got 2 different styles in hats.
Yeah.
With the 5th anniversary logo. We got it in gray. We got it in darker gray with the white mesh back, with the black mesh back, adjustable, of course, available for you to purchase as part of our 5th anniversary merch collaboration. I got 5 of each right now in my possession, 5 of each. So first come, first serve to everybody.
You heard it here first. First come, first serve for your 5-year anniversary hats. Voldy, they look even better in person.
Oh,
I mean, looking
they're
at
so
it
awesome.
through the video, you sent the photos, which were great, but they look even better on camera here. It looks dope, delicious, as the Curve Doctor likes to say. And just to kind of put things in context, guys, you probably heard some new sound bites, right?
Yep.
Well, this one's it's new to this show. It's new to this show with Eddie Murphy. Shout out to Eddie Murphy, by the way. And by the way, we got our guy, my guy. He's my hero. I wish he was still alive, but Chris Farley.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Let's go. So, yes, the 5-year anniversary hats, first come, first serve. You know the deal. We'll put out a socials post here probably this week, and just to get the word out, and you guys can get yourself. And we still have things in the works, as Voldy and I have been talking and thinking about some things. So keep your eye on the socials. We will have it at some point. So we got a lot to get to tonight. We got to recap the Wolves season. Unfortunately, they do end up losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They losing, what was it, 5. And I can't even get excited because I hate doing this right now. But we're going to talk about, there's been some hot rumors for Hot Take tonight about what the Wolves will do in the offseason. I will actually have a bold prediction tonight about the Wolves. So we will talk about that here coming up. And then a lot of talk on the social medias, Voldy, about jjmccarthy. There's been former NFL player that's been talking about how he's not ready. They wanted to keep Sam Darnold, blah, blah, blah. We'll table that for a little bit later after we talk Wolves. And then, Voldy, we have top 10 infamous lists. We have updated those lists. Voldy, we have made a lot of changes, I will say. We have made a lot of changes, new names on there for sure, and we will explain why here coming up. Top 10 infamous lists. And Voldy's got us a stacked ARA tonight. We have the Minnesotalynx. They are 8-0, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Go Lynx, yes. I can't wait to talk about that because I got some opinions. I do. And Zappa, if he's tuning in, love to hear his thoughts too. The Stanley Cup Finals, it's a rematch. The Oilers and the Florida Panthers. It should be a cool matchup. We'll probably give some predictions. And, of course, the Pacers, the Indiana Pacers, taking down the New York Knicks. They take on OKC. Everyone's pretty much picking OKC, which is no surprise. We'll talk about that. And the Knicks end up firing former Timberwolves coach, Tom Thibodeau. Tibbs is out of a job. I have some thoughts on that as well. And then to round things off, the NHL is expanding Hawkeye tracking. So there is a lot to cover tonight. So, Voldy, I say we get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
It's hot, it's fresh, it is out of the oven. ladies and gentlemen. We start with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like I said at the beginning, we talked about how the Wolves lost to OKC in 5, especially in Oklahoma City, in disappointing fashion. I mean, they got their butts kicked. And it seemed like there was a lack, in my opinion, I thought a lack of effort, and it just didn't turn out well. We won't talk about the game because it's just like it's not worth it at this point. But we're looking ahead to the offseason, as one should, and the offseason comes pretty quick. And it's after the finals, it's usually around the time when teams start making deals, draft is happening, and things like that. So just to kind of give an overview on the Wolves season, Voldy, Zoners, I asked this of you as well. Would you say that this season was a success, just taking out the fact that they got, they were just outmatched in the Western Conference Finals? So, Voldy, how would you kind of summarize the Wolves season?
I mean, overall, you definitely have to say it was a success because a lot of questions coming into the season, how's the offense going to gel with or without Cat in the lineup? Of course, you traded him in the offseason and you get back DiVincenzo, you get Julius Randle, and how's that going to mesh with Rudy Gobert, with, of course, with Ant, Naz Reid now getting into the starting mix a little bit more frequently as opposed to, being the consistent threat off the bench as opposed to, obviously the way it was the last couple of years with him, Cat, and obviously Gobert. Now you had a lot more clear defined roles with, of course, Gobert being the predominant center, and then you have Naz coming off the bench to supplement in that role. But then there was a lot of, concerns about that, how they're going to make up for the lack of offense. And then Anthony Edwards pretty much took over at one point and was doing as much as he can. Julius Randle had a really nice postseason overall, just putting up over 20 points per game in 35 minutes. You saw a lot of blossoming of some younger talent with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You saw a little bit of, how things are going to look with the future here with, of course, the departure of Mike Conley. More on that coming up here later. How that can affect with Terrence Shannon Jr., some of the guys that they really picked up with, through the draft and everything. In my immediate answer, I say the season is a success. Yes, it does hurt that you lost in the Western Conference Finals again. That certainly does put a bit of a damper on things, but overall, you can't look back on the season as a failure based off the fact that you outlasted a lot more premium talent out there that a lot of teams gave a lot of critics gave the Timberwolves credit for. So, I mean, it was definitely a success. Things can only go up. And if you add another piece or two into the mix, or at least maybe become more of a, attractive spot for free agents to come, which is what things are looking like for Minnesota, for the Timberwolves especially, things could definitely turn their way, especially now back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances, given the fact that before last year, they've been in the playoffs and that far only once in their entire franchise history. So back-to-back years with those appearances certainly does bode well for the future for the squad.
Yes, I tend to agree, and I'm just kind of taking the Western Conference Finals, that Game 5 out of it. Mm-hmm. Look, the Oklahoma City Thunder were the better team. I'm not even going as far to say as it's because of the SGA flops. It's because of X, Y, and Z. They were just better. That's how I look at it. In Game 4, they had their chances to win that game, but turning over the ball, bad shot selection, Randall being a non-factor in that game hurt. The main thing that we want to look at here is the big offseason move they had last year with trading Cat, getting DiVincenzo, and Julius Randle. Now, people were wondering, they might make the playoffs, they might win round one, but they're going to be done after that. And the amount of people, especially national media, I'm talking to you, Shannon Sharp, by the way. They beat the Lakers in 5. Everyone said, "Oh man, the Wolves shouldn't even. They're losing in 5. It's just going to happen." Well, the Wolves just proved you wrong. A, they were the better team. B, they played a lot better than the Lakers. And then you go into the game or into the series against Golden State. Yes, they are missing Steph Curry and everything like that, but they traded for Jimmy Buckets for a reason, and he ultimately failed. And I don't care what people say about, oh, he was hurt. He was hurt. He got hurt in the Rocket series and things like that. He was fine. He was hitting shots. He wasn't, like being like, oh, I'm hurting really bad. He's fine. He had the chance to be playoff Jimmy, and guess what? He failed. So the Wolves went and took care of business. Now, OKC, they could have fixed some things. I think the SGA flops got to them as much as it got to us as well. That's a whole nother conversation. I want to get into that whole thing. But I look at it as a success because they proved a lot of people wrong. And they were able to get to the Western Conference Finals a second time, like you have mentioned as well, Voldy. And they're not a team that you look at and say, we're just going to walk all over this team. No, they're in the thick of it. And the Western Conference is not easy whatsoever. So I look at this from the perspective of they went on a streak to end the regular season. They were like 18-5, I think. And then they go into these series and they, play relatively well. Unfortunately, OKC, it is what it is. So, I would say it would be a success as well. Now, let's look into the offseason here, Voldy. A lot of question marks. 1, are they going to extend Randall? 2, are they going to bring back Nas? 3, are they going to bring back the law firm known as Nickeil Alexander Walker? I just wanted to do
nice.
That. Sorry.
Have to. I respect it.
Yeah, there you go. That's the big questions. Now, before we get into rumors and everything like that, I was actually having this conversation. I was messaging one Cole Munson about this, and I said, out of the 3, who would you want the most and who would you not want? So I asked this of you, Voldy, and the Zoners.
Okay.
Out of those 3 guys, who would you want the most and who would you say, I think we're good? You can go walk, go find another team, etc., etc. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Between Nas, Nickeil Alexander Walker, and Randall, you said?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I would be fine. I would like back Nas Reed. I think of him for sure. Randall does provide an interesting setup for the Timberwolves, at least with their dynamic with Julius Randle. Is he going to be comfortable with being a guy that is, kind of looked on as being like a secondary option when it comes to scoring, or maybe even a third option, depending on the matchups on the floor, especially Nas Reed coming off the bench, Julius Randle as well. Kind of seemed to flourish a little bit with not being the guy focused on he's the one that's going to have to lead the team in scoring and at least do much of the damage. But it'd be interesting to see what we can do with Nickeil Alexander Walker. Yes, we do have a shooting guard already with the likes of Anthony Edwards. DiVincenzo as well does provide an interesting dynamic, at least with his play. Alexander Walker is certainly someone I wouldn't mind. I'm not going to be love lost to see if he goes, but if the Timberwolves could get something for him, or at least see what the market is for a player like Nickeil Alexander Walker, I say for sure, go and get his money. When it comes to Randall too, him and Jaden McDaniels, that matchup that they have as well, obviously scoring-wise, a little bit more favored towards Randall. I feel like, at least when it comes to more of a polished product, I would keep Reed and also Julius Randle and see what Nickeil Alexander can do on the market for sure.
I think that's a good point. And Anthony, who's tuning in, he says Randall. I assume that's probably the guy he wants to keep. It's easy for me to say Nikhil Alexander-Walker probably is going to walk. I mean, and I don't mean to with the pun, by the way. But the thing is that Julius Randle was fantastic for most of the playoffs. We've just talked about it. But he has had some stinkers in there. Now, people were thinking like, oh, he's the number 2 to Ant and everything like that. Well, he can be, but the thing is can he keep that up? He's been in the league for X amount of years now. He did struggle with a lot of turnovers as well. But out of the most, the one guy I want back is obviously our tribal chief, Naz Reid. Acknowledge tribal chief, Naz Reid. But I have to, I hate to do this, but I have to say that our tribal chief did not play well in the OKC.
No, he didn't. No.
Series. He was missing shots, turnovers, bad fouls, things like that. So that factors into a certain decision. I think Naz Reid is. I would want Naz Reid back, tribal chief, first. Second would probably be Randall, but if you bring back Randall, you have to go out and get somebody else to play to be the other guy next to Ant. And I'll get to that in a second. But I look at Nikhil Alexander-Walker. There were games where he was brilliant. He was hitting shots, making shots, driving the lane. There are times where he's very good. He's a very good defender as well. But good Lord, when he can't hit his shot, they usually are going to lose. And if he's making a shot, they have a good chance. This guy is a very good off-the-bench player. Don't get me wrong. But, man, did he really stink up the joint in Game 5 as well. So it comes down to, do you trust them? Does Finch and Conley trust these guys enough to come off the bench and still be productive? Sure. Now, Rudy Gobert, you could even throw into the mix of being a potential trade piece. Now, there could be a 3-team deal. There's been 4-team deals and things like that. Not saying they're going to trade Rudy, but I still think Rudy holds some value here too. So, I would go Naz. I would go Naz and Randall, and I just say, and it's no knock against Nikhil. I just think that he's hard to rely on offensively. That's what it comes down to. So, Voldy, let's hit on these rumors that have been circling with the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's been a number of players that have been rumored to be of interest to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And granted, there have been talks about how the Wolves are going to navigate this because of some payroll concerns, especially when you have new owners coming in, when the NBA owners, I think at the end of the month, are going to approve Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry for full ownership. Now, the one big name has been Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant is 37, right? Not 36. I thought it was, 37.
I didn't even know he was that old. God
yeah,
damn.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Old ass.
And, exactly. With him being friends with Ant and everything like that, and it just made sense. But the Wolves were very, very close of landing Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. So there has been a lot of talk about that. Voldy, my question to you is this. Would you want the Wolves to go out and get one KD? What do you think?
It wouldn't hurt at this point. If you want to make a splash, especially new ownership, going out and getting a proven guy that can certainly change the dynamic of a team in many ways. Why not go out and get a Kevin Durant? If you want to be taken serious as contenders in the Western Conference and the NBA as a whole, you need to go out and get a guy like Kevin Durant. Now, I wish it was the Kevin Durant about 4 or 5 years ago in true Minnesota sports fashion. We go and get a guy that was amazing 5 years ago. But Kevin Durant could still go out there and get buckets if properly motivated, for sure. I have no problem in that potential rumor and how that can play to the Timberwolves positively.
Well, the one thing I will say about this, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here, so
Okay.
I want to be serious and tell the zoners that I want to give the zoners something to, kind of look back at. This could potentially be a absurd statement. It very well could be, but I am going to risk it for the biscuit here. In my opinion, I believe that Kevin Durant will be a Minnesota Timberwolf, yes, this in a couple weeks and or maybe even a month. Kevin Durant will be with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I can't give you like details, who's going to be traded and things like that.
Right.
I was talking with this about Munson, and I said, Munson, listen, I know Kevin Durant is a little bit older. We all understand that. He's a 17-year guy, but the one thing that was bad in Phoenix is that they had no bench. And guys got hurt. Yeah. Booker's good, Beal's fine, but they didn't have anybody. They didn't. And it was frustrating because he wasn't able to do that. He was frustrated with the coaches and things like that. But if you bring in a guy that Ant knows is going to, score a lot of points, and let's be honest, this past season, before the injury and everything like that, he was scoring 26 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, 4 assists per game. He is still hitting shots. This is no joke. This guy knows how to he can play. Now, this is kind of where the Wolves are saying, this is our championship window. We want to win. We need to add somebody next to Ant. Now, how would that work out? I think Randall probably would have to be involved in this trade. I also believe that it could probably be maybe Dante as well. Picks involved. But I think that if you go after Kevin Durant and you pair him with Ant, oh my goodness. Just think about how lethal this combination could be. And yes, he's a little bit older. Don't get me wrong. He's a little bit older. But Kevin Durant's shot is one of the most purest shots I've probably ever seen. I mean, Steph Curry obviously is a great shooter, don't get me wrong. But when Kevin Durant's making his mid-range and hitting threes and things like that, this dude's nearly unbeatable. So I believe that the Wolves are going to go out and get him. I think he wants to come to Minnesota. I think he wants to come to Minnesota, and he realizes what type of team this is. Now, there's one guy off limits, and I have been a proponent of this because I still think he still has a lot to prove, is Jaden McDaniels. I have been very impressed with how he's played in these playoffs. I think he can be a viable option for the Wolves. I want them to avoid trading Jaden McDaniels because I think him and KD on the same team with Ant, with maybe even Gobert's part of these trade talks. I don't know. But it's very possible. I think with my bold prediction, Kevin Durant will become a Minnesota Timberwolf. Yes. Anthony says KD would open up the floor for Edwards to drive more often. Exactly. You see, Anthony, he's on it. He's on it, man. And it's just going to help them in instances where if Ant has an off night, Kevin Durant's right there. Maybe even if somehow Randall's still on the team, he can be an option. Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels. I think Jaden McDaniels is still, I feel like he's getting to that point. He just needs to do one more thing in order to, be that guy that they can rely on. And I think it's him being more consistent offensively. His defense is fine. No one's going to. But I think sometimes his attitude, he gets frustrated. We all saw what happened with him in SGA and all that, stuff. So, my bold prediction, Kevin Durant to Minnesota in the next few weeks and or month. So, that's kind of where I am with it. Now, there's been some other guys. We'll probably talk more about this at a different time. Dejounte Murray's an option. The backcourt, I think, may have to be addressed. Not saying I don't believe in Rob Dillingham, because I think he's going to be a great player for the Timberwolves. I think he just needs a little bit more. Mike Conley seems like he's probably on the outs and whatnot. And I just think you add another veteran, help him grow a little bit as well as a player. Now, he's in. Austin Reeves has been rumored. I think Giannis is a very, 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 very long shot, but it doesn't hurt to make a call. Maybe they can come up with something. Now, just don't give up Ant. That's the thing. Don't give up Ant. Please do not do that. I'm sorry, KD, 36-year-old superstar, not a 37. So I'm a little bit younger. But, I think the Wolves have a big offseason. I mean, Conley says, I don't think we need to make any big moves. And he's kind of like, shy about it. Kind of like, we probably won't, but we'll see, and everything like that. Yes, hello, Tate. He has joined us. Hey, buddy. Yeah. See? He's loving it. Hey, buddy. He's loving being on the show tonight. We got a lot to talk about, so that's perfect. So that's kind of our World Season recap. Maybe we'll have Zaps on to wrap things up, and then obviously talk some Lynx, because they're starting up too. All right, another thing that has been brought up on the socials medias is there are some, and there's probably a lot of them. There's doubters. There's guys that believe in certain players and things like that, and that's okay. That's your opinion. Now, there's one former NFL player. His name's Rosstucker. He was on, I believe it was the Purple Daily. I think it's Purple Daily podcast or something like that. Obviously, they do a great job, and they had him on, and he made some comments about how the Vikings were going about the offseason. So, I am going to read some of his quotes. He was on Score North, my bad. He argued that he thinks the Vikings have some doubts about McCarthy because of their efforts to re-sign Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones. A take that was amplified by Newsweek on June 2nd. He says, no matter what the Vikings say about J.J. McCarthy, they wanted Darnold back. And then they weren't going to get Darnold back, and they wanted Daniel Jones back. As much as they're sold on J.J. McCarthy, they weren't sold, so the Vikings have some doubt. That quote in itself is, I wouldn't say true. And the quotes that he's making here, Voldy, is that he really hasn't followed along to what the Vikings are actually doing. And I don't think he's done enough research. And I'm not trying to bash him, because I want to clear up some things about his comments here. Now, hello, Tate. The main thing is that, how do I start this with him? He says, the first part of this, he's like, okay, they're trying to re-sign Sam Darnold. Okay, that's probably true, and we kind of expected that. Now, I think the Vikings had a price of, this is kind of where we're at, and this is kind of what we're thinking. And Sam Darnold was like, well, I can get more money elsewhere and go from there. And the Vikings say, oh, okay. I mean, obviously, he's probably looking over his shoulder, if he comes back. Because if he plays bad, who's coming in, right? So I think there would have been another competition, but ultimately I think McCarthy would have edged him out. But that's a whole different conversation. Yes, they wanted Sam Darnold, but that doesn't mean that they don't believe in him. That's not the case here. They're just kind of like, we'll give you a deal, see what happens, go from there. And then the next thing he brings up is they wanted Daniel Jones back. Okay, this is where everybody's like, hold the phone here. You really think that because the Vikings wanted Daniel Jones back, that he was going to be the starter? You automatically think that guy would be the starter. The guy was gone from New York, just thrown to the side and everything. And you think the Vikings would be like, oh well, he'll be just fine. They weren't able to sign him because they said you're going to be a backup, and that's what's going to happen. And this is the amount of money we'll give you to be that backup. Mm-hmm. And he decided, no, let's go into a situation where I could fight for the starting job. And guess what? He's there in Indianapolis fighting for the starting job against Anthony Richardson. So that's not true. He's saying like, oh, you shouldn't listen to what the Vikings are saying. Go and look at what J.J. McCarthy has done in this offseason and go through all the press conferences, all the quotes that Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings organization has made these past few months. This tells me he didn't do his research, and it tells me as well that I don't know where he's getting that information from. I think he even said the Vikings are only going to get 9 wins, which I think that's absurd because I think they're going to be no, I wouldn't say way above that, but they'd be above that enough of 9 wins. Now, we haven't seen McCarthy play. I get that. I understand that. But what we've seen in this offseason, protect McCarthy, add more weapons with Jones back, with Jordan Mason on the team as well. This team looks good. It's that, and that's the whole deal, is they look like a team that no one really wants to play. Are there some weaknesses? Sure. In the secondary, things like that, whatever. But I just think that there's going to be people where they're just like, I don't think he can do it. Just say that then. Don't just say, oh, well, they wanted Darnold and Jones back, and they're going to be the starters. It's like, you clearly haven't done your research on this. That's kind of how I feel. I'm not going to call him a moron or anything like that. It's just what you just said doesn't back up your argument whatsoever. So I disagree with his analysis of that. So Voldy, I asked this of you. What are your thoughts on his comments?
I mean, the comments themselves do seem a little bit on the far-reaching side, but I can understand where he's coming from. There could be a little bit of validity when it comes to where the Vikings are at. I mean, obviously, JJ being slotted as the starter with OTAs well and happening, and now looking towards training camp, but you need that veteran experience to at least know what it's like to be in an NFL huddle and take an NFL hit at this point. Sure, JJ did play a little bit in the preseason, but I mean, those game reps are completely different from the actual regular season. So going from the standpoint of at least getting a veteran and trying to get the guys back that you had in the system, there is some validity to it, saying like, okay, well, we can at least try and reach out to Darnold, see what he's looking at, and try to get something put together. Okay, that didn't work. Well, we had Daniel Jones in the system. Well, we could give him backup money because we know that JJ is most likely going to be starting over Daniel Jones. I'm sure he's just happy to be out of New York. He wanted to go and try to fight for a spot, and that's what he did. So that didn't work either. And, of course, that forcing the hand of the Vikings to go after and make a trade for a guy who's been a couple of places, but still has that veteran experience in Sam Howell out of Seattle. I'm not too overly worried about that with him trying to snake away with JJ McCarthy's job. But I understand where Tucker is coming from. But just saying that the Vikings didn't have confidence in JJ to begin with, or at least, now slating at, they lost Darnold, they lost Jones. Woe is me. What are we going to do for the team? That seems to be a little far-fetched in that area.
Couldn't agree more. The one thing that I think he's missing the mark on is that the Vikings and McCarthy have been working together on creating it as much as an easy transition as it can be for him starting week 1. And it's turned out to look very good, and they addressed the problems at O-line. They addressed the problems somewhat in the secondary. I mean, there's still a lot of time for them to add guys. They still have some cap space. So, in this situation, I just kind of look at this. I'm not going to go and say, like, this guy's an idiot, he's a moron, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's just like he just didn't – it's clear he just didn't do his research at all. Mm-hmm. So, and especially what kind of leader this guy is. Look at all of the guys that have talked about how good he's been. Harrison Phillips being one of them, saying that, he's taking it on like Josh Allen. And look at what Josh Allen's doing. O'Connell's been
just got married to Haley Steinfeld. So, I mean, at least he's living his life, right?
And good for them, by the way. Congratulations.
Congrats to the newlyweds.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is like, gosh, you should just take a minute, go on YouTube and just watch McCarthy highlights, and then watch some of his interviews. He is well-spoken, and I think he's a born leader. And Justin Jefferson and him going to the T-Wolves game together, what does that tell you? That he won't have it? Jeez, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Sometimes people are just saying just to get people riled up, and maybe that's what he's doing. But again, it is what it is. So, minicamp is next week, by the way, so we will keep in tune with that, seeing any big updates. Probably not too much, but there might be some quotes in there and whatnot, and you never know, right? So, yeah, that'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this week. A lot to go over with Hot Take, especially with the Wolves and JJ McCarthy and the Vikings and whatnot. So, Voldy, it's time to do a top 10 infamous list. It's been a while since we've done it. We've made some updates. I mean, there's some good updates that we've made to this list, and we'll explain them. There were a lot of guys that you'd think, oh man, I don't think they can move up any higher, but they end up moving up even higher.
Way.
Yes, they keep going. So, let's start it with top 10 infamous lists.
Here's the list no one wants to be on. Infamous Top 10.
All right, it is time for top 10 infamous lists. Voldy, why don't you lead us off tonight? Let's reveal, and you know what? Since we have the ability, let's do this.
Ooh, there we go.
Yes, there is our top 10 infamous list. Some updates, and let us know if you can't see anything. We will try to make it bigger for you if you can see. So, Voldy, your list, please.
Yeah, we start off at the number 10 slot as usual with now, of course, with these sports streaming services. Now I can't even watch the Twins on regular TV anymore, or at least find a way to get them. Now with them being produced by Major League Baseball, Twins.tv, I know I can get them from Fubo or something like that, and one of my coworkers was throwing that out my way, but I'm not paying any more money to any of these services just to watch the Twins, at any point here in the regular season. Sure, it's been nice to see them on Fox 9 every once in a while, but from the consistency level, it just has not worked to my favor. So I'm just continuing to throw shade at these streaming services for quite possibly ruining any chance of me being a sports fan on the regular ever again. Now moving up to the number 9 spot, and this one is going to come with a little bit of its own hot take. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders and those that have slandered his name over the last 2-3 months with him now entering the world of professional football. Now, with him making the big slide down of being a top 5 pick, thus making him all the way down to a 5th round selection by the Cleveland Browns, it has not been through any fault of his own, you will certainly say. The talent and the ability that he does possess with the ability to play in the National Football League has been slandered top to bottom based off the fact of he holds himself to a higher regard, at least from a standpoint that rubs people the wrong way. Now, say in back in the day that Tim Tebow was of the same caliber and at least the same hold yourself, at a higher standard than anybody else, I feel like Tim Tebow wouldn't have gotten drafted at all, let alone in a first-round reach by the Denver Broncos. That being said, now people are starting to even try to find the little tiniest of quirks and, things to knock down Shedeur Sanders even more, even though he's had a very nice debut with the Cleveland Browns through, of course, rookie minicamp and, of course, OTAs, and thus getting back into football operations while trying to cement his spot in that very crowded quarterback room for the Cleveland Browns. So the slanderers will just have plenty to continue about, even with now Shedeur in the National Football League. Up to number 8, we do have, of course, with the Tampa Bay Rays. If things couldn't get much worse for the team I absolutely 100% despise as a Major League Baseball franchise for the fact that they can stink for 20 years, put together a World Series team, stink for another 10 years, put together another World Series team, and then stink for another 10 years on top of it. Let's take the fact that they're now playing in a minor league ballpark that's not even within their own organization. No, they're going to be playing, of course, in the Yankees Class A facility, which is also their spring training facility. No, not Tampa's. The New York Yankees spring training facility at Steinbrenner Field, which is absolutely dumbfounded to even think about the fact that you're going to be playing, one of your divisional rivals in a facility that they pretty much know like the back of their hand. Tampa cannot get more incompetent, especially with that god-awful facility that they have for a Major League ballpark, which probably won't even be ready to play for by the start of next season. Urban Meyer's at the number 7 spot. If you don't know by now, well, you don't really need to know anything on top of what Urban Meyer has to continue and to contribute to the top 10 in famous list. Draymond Green at the number 6 spot. Boy, if the Timberwolves would have found a way to get to the Western Conference Finals and won a championship in the last couple of years, I said from the very get-go, Draymond Green deserved a championship ring from the Timberwolves when he choked out Rudy Gobert and thus flicked a switch, lit a fire under the Timberwolves' butts, and got them to the Western Conference Finals in back-to-back seasons. But still a cancer within the National Basketball Association. Draymond Green needs to go away. Up to the number 5 spot, we have MLB Advanced Statistics. Why do we need to continue to create numbers to make mediocre guys look even better? Can he hit the ball? Can he catch the ball? Can he throw the ball? As to quote the great movie in Bull Durham. If you can do those 3 things, you're a decent enough player to play in MLB. Stop creating these fake numbers that have no real meaning whatsoever. Up to the number 4 spot, if I can read my handwriting here. Who do I got at number 4 here? I can't remember off the top
Florida
of my
Panthers.
Head. Yes, the cancers within the National Hockey League. And, of course, they're dropping the puck right now, actually. I believe they're in the first period of the Stanley Cup Finals for the 3rd straight year. That's right, the Florida Panthers looking to go back with the team that is comprised of guys that I hate absolutely to the nth degree. Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart. Now you took my boy and Brad Marchand, put him in a Florida Panthers sweater, Now I have to hate him out of principle, but it would be nice to see him win a Stanley Cup yet again. Death to the Florida Panthers. I hope they get swept by Edmonton. Up to the number 3 spot, got the National Sports Media for not continuing their trend of giving Minnesota credit for anything positive. Yes, they have continued that trend in many different ways, even given the fact that they still continue to spin their webs and make Minnesota sports look even much more horrible, even though we certainly do try our best. We are doing what we can to win, and you will continue to find ways to make it even look that much worse on top of it. Now up to the number 2 spot. This is one hell of a debut for a person on the top 10 and famous list, Jordonhudson. For those that don't know, that's the girlfriend and supposed fiance of head football coach for the University of North Carolina, Bill Belichick. Yes, even though technically Belichick could be her grandfather, we got Jordonhudson on the list, needling her way, nosing her way into being, of course, the kind of brand manager, if you will, of Bill Belichick, and also finding ways to boost her social media clout and getting the clicks and getting the likes and getting banned from the UNC facilities, not getting banned on top of it. It's just really weird and kind of random that this gal is kind of semi-running the show with the UNC football program, and one hell of a debut for her on the top 10 in famous lists. And of course, finally, with the Big Ten Conference scanning and scoping from coast to coast, we got Big Ten powers such as Nebraska, Washington. You've got the likes of USC and UCLA when you think Big Ten schools. Not Michigan, Ohio State, not Minnesota, Wisconsin. No, we're talking Rutgers. We're talking UCLA and classic Big Ten. We're talking Oregon as Big Ten powers within the conference. Now up to 18 teams, in the perspective of it being 20 plus within the next 3 to 4 years. The Big Ten Conference is just making up for the fact that it is a mid-major conference with a big billion-dollar budget, just because they got a couple of teams and a couple of franchises on top of them that do supply the goods. Of course, the last 2 national football champions have been from the Big Ten Conference in Ohio State and Michigan. Beyond that, it just continues to dilute the water even more as they try to get to the same level of relevancy and respect as the SEC, but the SEC has too much money and too many good old boys down south to say that they're going to let some teams from up north try to play with them in that regard. Big Ten Conference, still my number 1 on my top 10 in famous list.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know, it's really sad for some of these teams and whatnot, and players, for instance. It's just like to a point where, you know, stop adding super conferences. And Jordonhudson, just go away. What are you doing?
Stay home.
Yeah.
In an office.
Yeah. So I got some thoughts on that as well. Great list of old eat, nonetheless.
Thank you.
Starting off with mine, I made a lot of updates myself. Some of these updates, I will say, zoners, are very warranted. And there are some that you might look at that are a little high for being that. So, starting off with number 10, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Buckets, my buddy old pal. He gets back up on this list. Now, he is at number 10. And let me tell you, I am overly thrilled that he got a slice of humble pie against the Wolves this past year. And it just shows that karma is a biatch. And the fact that this man has gone to organizations and pretty much has torn them to shreds, that being the Wolves, the Sixers, the Miami Heat, and now probably maybe Golden State. We'll see. he didn't show up in that series against the Wolves, especially a team that he has avoided quite much, and he hasn't played at Target Center in the longest time, as however many days or whatever the hell. And then he says skip a team with the Wolves. He doesn't even acknowledge them or anything like that. I mean, I get it. There, no one from that team's on the team. No one from the organization, from that regime, is on the team. But the one thing I want to add with him being up at this 10 spot is the guy, I think he still hasn't paid his frickin' rent from Miami. The guy doesn't have, I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that this dude is supposed to be this it's never Jimmy's fault and things like that. And well, guess what? Playoff Jimmy didn't show up. I don't care if he got hurt against the Rockets or anything like that. The guy was supposed to step up and give them time so Steph could come back. And guess what? They failed epically. So there's that. He's up at 10. Number 9, Deshaun Watson. There's really not much to say, but you know the deal with him. Probably the worst trade in NFL history, I would say. Or no, did they sign him? No, they traded for him. They traded for him, and it's been an abject failure. And he's, to be quite honest, he's getting all this money just to absolutely suck, pretty much. And I'm not I mean, the injury's bad. We, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but still, he was bad even before then, too. Number 8, Urbanmeyer. Like Voldy said, you know the deal. Urbanmeyer is just, he's still around. I don't know why he's on Fox game day for college and stuff like that. He doesn't deserve it. Number 7, Seanpayton. Enough said. I've said enough with that. Number 6, Mark Coyle. Obviously, I don't like how he handled the Ben Johnson situation and how he's handled some of these athletics as well. I think he is a guy that needs a lot should take a lot of the blame for certain things as well. So we'll see, how it goes. Number 5, the NBA refs have gone up a couple spots. Now, very quickly, I will say that the whole special treatment, it's happening in the sport. I get that. But the lack of consistency, the lack of them playing favorites in this NBA league is disgusting to me. And honestly, it's awful. It's gotten so bad that guys are tripping over their feet and still calling fouls. And it's not just SGA. I get it. It's not just SGA. It's other players, too, that are getting the special treatment. LeBron and some of these other guys, But they lack the consistency, and they're like, well, we can't do that, or the NBA is going to get pissed if we don't call fouls and stuff like that. Just do your damn job. That's all you have to do. Do your damn job. Now, I get it. You're going to miss calls. That happens, but it has been way too frequent, and especially in the Wolves series with OKC and SGA getting calls because he's flopping like a fish. Like, this guy is just frustrating. It's not real basketball. It's just the guy's flopping all over the place. All right. Number 4, Jordonhudson. Voldy, I won't go too much on this because we did talk about this last week a lot. Mm-hmm. But this chick is cray-cray, like I said. She's cray-cray. One tidbit of information I didn't know about until I looked it up was that she, before Belichick, her ex-boyfriend, 61 years old. 61 years old. So she likes the older men and everything like that, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you know what it tells me? She's a gold digger. She is a gold digger. And the thing is that she is trying to get as much money as she can and then getting the hell out, which is, get the money how you can, but guess what? you're not doing it the right way, and that's why people think that you're a bad person. So you're cray-cray. Stop acting like you're the boss of people, and especially with Coach Belichick. I mean, what are you doing? Are you holding him ransom or something? Like, good Lord, woman. Like, what are you doing here? So anyway, let's go to number 3. Voldy, I really didn't want to have to do this. I really didn't. This was a situation to where I looked at it being like, yeah, she's had some instances and things like that. But it's gotten to the point of where this woman has just completely gone off the rails. And Angel Reese has been just absolutely unhinged. The amount of her backtracking statements, especially saying like she's the reason that people are watching basketball too, and this and that, Caitlin Clark, blah blah blah, and then her not answering that question when it was brought up to her again, saying next question, whatever. What kind of person are you? And then she acts like she's just a star and everything like that when she misses her shots half the time and gets her own rebounds and still can't make the damn shot. She can't hit from outside. And the fact is she's not that good. She's not that good. And I get that you want to kind of have a villain and, it's kind of like almost a Draymond Green type of person, in this situation with the WNBA. But you know what? You're just bad at it. You're bad at being a villain. You're bad at dealing with the media. And I think you only care about your outfit instead of playing better basketball. Just saying. And that's why you're on this list. And I'm not going to go into the whole, everyone's against me and, things like that. Look, you're doing it to yourself. And you don't realize it. That's okay. That's fine. If you don't realize it, you don't realize it. But the fact of the matter is that you're obsessed with Caitlin Clark, and you need to move on. You need to focus on winning. And the fact is, you're not focusing on winning. So, you can go to go to these events with these celebs, with Cardi B and all these other people, and going to McDonald's, doing all these commercials and whatnot. The fact of the matter is, you're not very good. So that's why you're on this list. Number 2, Draymond Green. Good Lord, he was just an idiot with the Wolves and this whole situation with them. I mean, what a moron to come in and just act like hitting people and smacking them in the face is a good thing. I mean, Jaden McDaniels pushed one SGA, and he got a flagrant. Draymond Green smacks a dude in the face, gets a flagrant, but then he's complaining to the refs, blah, blah, blah. No tech happening. And I blame the NBA referees for that as well, for not giving him a tech. They did that. If it was Ant would probably be, in handcuffs or something. Good Lord. That's probably what would happen. But with Draymond Green, it's fine. We won't throw another tech. It's ridiculous. So he's at number 2. And number 1, the first number 1 that has been changed in a while, Voldy, and that is one Aaron Rodgers. And it is, as you can tell, Zoners, there have been some new sound bites, and I think you're going to appreciate this one as well.
You done messed up, Aaron.
You've done messed up, Ron. This has gotten to a point of no return for Aaron Rodgers. This man has been waiting out, hoping that something bad happens to jjmccarthy so he can be a Minnesota Viking. And then he's going to the Steelers, and they have a handshake agreement, and he decides, I don't want to do OTAs. I don't want to do, whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. That's if you don't want to do it, fine. But why don't you just sign with the team? And then maybe get a head start on some things? I don't know, And he is too much of a narcissist. And me, it's all about me. And prolong this. And it is just gotten to the point where Terry Bradshaw pretty much said, "You're chewing on bark, buddy. Go to the woods, chew on bark," like we have on social media. Check it out on our socials pages of that clip. But it's just this guy, it just can't let it go. Voldy, you said you saw him on Joe Rogan, and his mind was far from football, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Far from it.
So, I mean, what are we doing here? And I don't want to keep hearing about it because it's just like, I don't care what this idiot does. I don't. Mm-hmm. So stop bringing it up. If he makes a decision, then report it. Don't keep saying, well, what's going on? What's the latest? What's the latest? What's the latest? What's the latest? There's no latest. Just wait. Okay? And if he decides to retire, so be it. Good riddance. See ya. Bye-bye. So, yeah. Aaron Rodgers is at number 1. He dethrones the hated Polads as well. So, yeah, that's my list. Let us know in the chat what you think of our lists. If we should add people, if we should bring, maybe change up the rankings on where people are. If you like them, you don't like them, let us know. We're happy to take a look at it as well. So, number 1, Big Ten Conference, and I have at number 1, Aaron Rodgers. So, pretty good list, Voldy, I will say, for yours. Mm-hmm. And, I'm happy with mine, I will say, too. So, that'll do it for Top 10 and Famous list this time around. Let us know if you guys make your own. Send it to us. We're happy to take a look at it and can take some considerations, and maybe we'll post it if you guys have some lists that you want to go through too. So, very curious to see. Voldy, we got a lot of air rays to get through. The Lynx, they're 8-0. Yeah, baby. Let's go. And the Stanley Cup Finals rematch is happening right now, as Voldy said earlier. And the NBA Finals start tomorrow. Pacers and Thunder, who you got? And then the Knicks decide to fire Tibbs. Very weird. Very odd. We'll talk about that. And then to round things off, the NHL expanding the Hawkeye tracking. So, a lot to talk about. Let's get it going with some approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we start in the world of the W, that is the WNBA, and in a somewhat, people would say, a surprising start to the season, our Minnesota Lynx, after taking down the Phoenix Mercury 88-65 as of last night. The Lynx are 8-0 on the season. That's a perfect 4-0 on the road as well as at home. And very nice start here for the ladies, of course, coming off a WNBA Finals appearance last year and what people would say was a rigged final against the Lynx in many regards. But few things have gone their way to start off the season, of course, with the likes and the return to Visa Collier, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, not only playing up to her capability as Defensive Player of the Year, but people are already putting her in the conversation of MVP conversation on top of it when you throw her into the mix. But has been no shortage of a play as well. Kayla McBride putting up almost 30 points a game, or I should say over 15 points per game in about 30 minutes of action as well. But 4 players in double digits in scoring have certainly done the mix here. But we have seen, of course, the bulk of the work from Defisa Collier putting up over 25 points per game for her to start the season. Now, with everything into the mix here, 8-0 start for the Lynx. Is it absurd or approved? Based off the start of the season for the Lynx, they will be making a return trip. Is it absurd or approved to the WNBA Finals?
Well, you know what this team has shown me already, these 8 games, is that they're pissed off. They're pissed off of how things ended in those finals this past year. Nafisa Collier was named Western Conference Player of the Month, so congrats to her. This team is well-rounded. They're well-coached, obviously. Cheryl Reeve has done a fantastic job. Can't wait to get Zappa here and talk a little Lynx with him. They're motivated. They want to get back to where they were. And the Liberty, I think they're still undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. So this has shown that this team is still in the running. They're still going to make a run at this and possibly, get back to the finals and win it. I very well think that's the case here. And I believe that they will make a return to the WNBA Finals. So it does have my stamp of approval for those Minnesota Lynx. Now, the one thing that I'm concerned about is that, hopefully everybody stays healthy. That's the main thing is if Fee goes down and something, and someone needs to step up, who's going to step up when Fee's gone
Right.
and whatnot. Like Kayla McBride's a very good player. I think she could definitely shoulder that load. But this team's young too. Don't get me wrong; they've got some great bench players as well. Smith down low, who's been great as well, and this team kind of has shown hey, we're still very good. We're in contention, and they're going to be in contention for a long time, especially with Nafisa and just kind of their mindset on how they go about the game. So. I think they will return to the WNBA Finals. So, another bold prediction that I really wasn't planning, but we'll go with it, man. And if it's absurd statement, then it's absurd statement. But I believe they will return to the WNBA Finals. Stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I really like the overall makeup of this team. Of course, last year's team, very similar with a little bit of gritty play and also ability to go out there and score, of course, with Fee leading the charge at 25 points per game. But Courtney Williams has been a really nice piece, just under 14 points per game, 6 assists per game as well. She's been really mixing it up, just over 5 rebounds a game too, and she's been able to kind of facilitate a little bit of offense out on the floor there to at least find some right matchups. And you also mentioned Alana Smith on top of it, kind of being a nice force down low with her 11 points, getting a couple blocks per game too. That's been a really nice piece to see here for a team that's really homegrown. If you really look at it, they don't go out and make the big shocking signings, at least through free agency, or at least make big trades on top of it, which has always kind of really been the MO of the Lynx, of course, back in their heyday as well, with working with players through their homegrown talent, or even picking up a player or two through free agency, but they're at least of the same kind of coming into a system where it's really about the team overall. And of course, Cheryl Reeve's going to get the best out of her players and get them in the right situations. I definitely have no problem saying that they'll be making a return to the finals for sure, just based off of the start of the season and at least where they sit at to at least continue with the momentum that they have. They can certainly do a lot of good here this season and continue to build that forward as well.
Did we ever find out if Cheryl Reeve got fined for her comments in the press
No,
conference?
I don't remember if she ever did or not. That's a good Zappa question.
I'll have to ask him. I'm very curious because, first of all, epic rant, by the way, I will say.
Oh, fantastic.
She got on him right then and there. That was awesome. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, as things are underway with Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the rematch of last year's finals with the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, as of last check here, after period number 1, it's a 2-1 lead for the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers over the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, now with it being their way and start to the playoffs, first 2 games in Edmonton before heading back to Sunrise, Florida for games 3 and 4, then home away for those that are of the Edmonton faithful. Of course, both teams coming back here after a long stretch that was a postseason journey for both teams. Both were staring down the barrel of elimination a couple of times, or at least being down in an early playoff hole. But it'll certainly be quite interesting with this mix and matchup that they do have with some new faces, two of these two teams on top of it. Is it, well, I guess there really isn't an absurd or approved. Who do you got winning the Stanley Cup this year between the Oilers and the Panthers there, Matt?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is that Kenny Smith on? I can't see. Sorry, I was just curious. They're at the intermission report here. But
if the game's on TNT, it probably is Kenny Smith, since those guys work hand in hand next to each other in Atlanta.
That's awesome, man. That's cool that they have that, they can intertwine like that. Anyway, man, it's tough for me to say. And, Voldy, I feel like on this show we've gone against the Panthers so much, and they still end up like winning and stuff like that. Yep. The question for me, Voldy, is McDavid going to be able to shoulder the load, especially have guys chip in these playoffs? So, I gotta play. I gotta be a villain here. I'm gonna go Panthers in 6. I hate to do it, and I'm sorry, Voldy. This team's so good. I don't know why they're so good, but they're just they dominated all these other teams in these playoffs, and they're just well put together. They know how to bounce back even after a bad game. I mean, it's just incredible to me. So I have to be I have to be a villain here. I got to say Panthers. So unfortunately, Florida gets another cup. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I really hate to say it too, because I've always, been of the mindset if you've got a good goaltender, he's going to carry you very far in the playoffs. And Florida has got probably the best goaltender in the playoffs, of course, now at this point between the two teams, because Edmonton doesn't know who they're starting night after night between the pipes. If it's going to be Skinner, it looks like it's Skinner's net through the series. Pickard's been hurt, but they've kind of flip-flopped throughout the playoffs on 2. I mean, it's going to be the battle between 5-on-5 Edmonton versus Bobrovsky and net for Florida, because 5-on-5 Edmonton has been pretty darn good. Just, of course, you got Draisaitl, you have, of course, McDavid, and they have just really kind of led things out. Really nice to see, of course, production-wise from old man Corey Perry, Evander Kane on top of it, and just overall play from them. I hate to say it, just from the depth-wise and overall team play, I got to throw it towards the Panthers yet again, going back-to-back with the Stanley Cup. I just throw in there, it just seems that they're a very deep team. Of course, they can be a scrappy team, too, like the kind that Edmonton's going to be throwing into the mix, too. But you just look at where they can get their scoring on third and fourth lines. I'm going to throw it towards the Panthers just because of the mix that they have with guys that have been on other teams that have been successful. Of course, Brad Marchand playing down there on the lower lines and just continuing to be a force in many different areas. But as a bonus question on top of it too, Matt, who do you think is more deserved to win a Stanley Cup from a pair of former Minnesota Wild players? On Edmonton, it's John Klingberg, or is it Florida's Nico Sturm? And I will throw out, Sturm did win a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche a few years ago.
Well, Voldy, don't you have a list of former players that were on the line and everything like that? So he's probably on this list. I'll give it to Klingberg just because, I mean, he hasn't had one yet, right? If I'm not mistaken. I'd probably say he's probably more deserved. Nico Sturm's definitely won one, so it's not tough for me to say. I mean, I think it's John Klingberg. But with Nico Sturm winning another cup, I mean, you gotta get it while you can, right? So I get that from that sense. But, I'll go with Klingberg here, Voldy. What do you got?
Yeah, I throw it towards the way of John Klingberg just because Sturm did win one back in 2022 with the Avalanche. That is confirmed. Him and Darcy Kemper did raise the Stanley Cup with Colorado. Klingberg was kind of written off in the back half of his career, especially even after he came to the Wild too. A lot of guys or a lot of teams were not giving him a lot of credit. And, he went to Toronto, kind of fell off there and just was then he got hurt, was put on the IR for much of the season in Edmonton, has kind of battled his way back, and he's looked like a top 6 defenseman in the postseason for the Oilers that surely do need the help up the blue line. I definitely throw it the way to Klingberg for sure.
It just makes sense. I mean, if you won one, someone's got it. Win, I guess. So another to add to your list if the Oilers win, Voldy.
Potentially.
All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of the NBA, set to tip off tomorrow night. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Indiana Pacers for the NBA Finals. That will be tipping off, of course, and I believe it's going to be Oklahoma City to host game number 1, I believe, for that. But with all that being said, of course, the Thunder coming through with one of the best records in the regular season, led by MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and of course the cast of characters that they do have, including Minnesota's own Chet Holmgren. On the other side, a very scrappy upstart team the last couple of seasons with the Indiana Pacers, led by Rick Carlisle as head coach, Tyrese Halliburton. You've got Pascal Siakam, and also a cavalcade of other characters into the mix there with the Indiana Pacers, who certainly fought their way through the postseason, even with the injuries that did accumulate for most of their opponents. But that's neither here nor there. Who do you think will be taking home the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the NBA Finals between these two squads?
Well, the Pacers have surprised me. And they've, they've been really resilient. And I think people are kind of like, well, this happened. If this didn't happen, it's like, look, they're winning the games. Tyrese Halliburton was clutch. That game 1. I did say, I was very concerned of him doing the choke thing right away in game 1.
That was awesome.
But that's still, it proves, like, hey, they won the series, so it's still relevant. And which is cool because I think he's a player that people have kind of criticized, and there are a lot of Halliburton haters, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think he works pretty hard. He's a very good player, man. He drives to the basket. His teammates, Obi Toppin, man, has been very good for this team. Turner as well, down low. These guys, Pascal Siakam, too. The guy has the
Siakam.
Yeah, he, again, he knows how to get there, and he knows what it's like because he was with Toronto when they won it. So I think the Pacers are really going to give them some trouble, OKC. But I hate to say it, I just think OKC's just, they have just a plethora of players that can lock you up. And, unfortunately, Lou Dort did a pretty good job against Ant. I think Ant's going to be using that as motivation to get back in the playoffs and get back at the OKC Thunder. But they got defensive players. Caruso's been great defensively. Chet Holmgren, obviously, shout out to him. He played really well against the Wolves. So, again, Minnesota guy, you got to respect it. Tip of the cap to Chet Holmgren there. SGA, I really can't give that just because of all the flops. But you know what? He hit a lot of key shots against the Wolves too. So, he's a good player, man. He is very good. But I don't know. He's not #not my MVP. But it is what it is. Yeah, I got OKC in 6. It's too much. Is it Hartenstein or Harvenstein? I always forget.
Hartenstein.
Down low. No, it's Hartenstein. Thank you. And they're deep. They can get to you. They're defensively frustrating, and I just think that they just have a little bit more firepower than the Pacers. But I think there's going to be a lot of close games, these NBA Finals. So they're going to be in it. So yeah, I got OKC in 6. Voldy, what do you got?
Yeah, I think this one, a lot of fans were looking at this one. This is going to be a very run and gun finals for sure. Both teams not afraid to get up and down the floor in a hurry. I think for the Pacers, it's going to take a Herculean effort for Halliburton to, keep them in the mix there. If he's shooting the ball well and if he's putting up 35, 40 points a game, the Pacers have no problem getting into this one with the Thunder for sure. I think matchup-wise, you got to throw it towards OKC with their bench that has no problem throwing in 9, 11, 12 guys, throwing in the whole bench basically into the mix to get crucial minutes and play. We've got Caruso coming off the bench too, Hartenstein for matchups overall down in the post too. But I think you just look at it, I think Indiana's definitely going to give them a run for their money for sure. I really want to say Pacers in 7, just based off of, like I said, it's going to take a Herculean effort from Halliburton, but if he is not shooting the ball very well, if it goes to Nesmith, if it goes to Siakam, TJ McConnell's picked up some minutes here and there for the team too when they've needed it, but I think just with OKC being as strong as they can, I'm going to say OKC in 5, respectfully, of course.
It don't matter. Halliburton, curtains, Lurton. Okay, see in 5.
Don't matter. Halliburton, Turd Curtain, LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton, yes. I understood that reference. I got that.
There you go.
That's good. I like it. Reading
Rainbow. Look it up.
Reading Rainbow. Love it. I like that, Voldy. I think it's going to come down to that, too. They'll probably steal one, like you were saying, but I just feel like there's going to be a game where I got a feeling OKC's going to get blown out again, and then they're just going to turn it on the next game. I don't know why, but I feel that's what's going to happen. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we stay in the world of the NBA, and a bit of a surprising move even after a successful year by the New York Knicks. It was after a deep playoff run that they're deepest in the turn of the century. The New York Knicks decided to fire head coach Tom Thibodeau, even after getting ousted in 6 games by the Indiana Pacers. The New York Knicks let go of head coach, that being Tom Thibodeau, after a run that was somewhat surprising in many people's minds and kind of upset a few people inside and outside the organization. But even with the success that they did have this season with, of course, the New York Knicks and Thibodeau, is it absurd or approved? Was this move by the Knicks right to do so in letting go Tom Thibodeau?
Yeah, I was shocked too. To be quite honest, I thought Tibbs has done a fantastic job for those 5 seasons. And, I just think the Knicks organization is very dysfunctional. James Dolan being the owner and just all the BS that he's brought to that franchise and the stupid things that he's done and treating, former players like crap and, whatnot. I don't understand this. I think Kendrick Perkins was saying, how dare you, and stuff like that. I'm not going to go as far to say as that. But one thing I will say is that, Tibbs is a guy that you really have to, understand that this is his team and no one's going to tell him how to run his team. And that's just kind of how Tibbs is, and we all kind of knew that back when he was here in Minnesota. I think the downfall of Tibbs is that sometimes I think he has made decisions that have been, quote-unquote, head-scratching. And I think now there's reports coming out that teammates and coaches were frustrated with our guy, Bodega Cat, and him not being very good defensively and just not doing things what he's supposed to and whatnot. And I think that might have done Tibbs in by them acquiring Cat and him not being able to serve on that. That's how I understand it. I'm not saying I agree with it or anything like that, but I will say that I don't think he deserves to be fired when he's taken them to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, this team was bad, has been bad for years, and when Brunson has come in and what he's done has been nothing short of impressive. He kind of still gets the same calls as SGA. I forgot about that too, but I think it's absurd. I think it was the wrong move by the Knicks. I think they needed to give him another year to try and work with this squad and maybe acquire some guys and things like that. But I don't blame any of this on Tibbs. I just think that they thought, like, oh, we need to get someone that can, get with Brunson a little bit more and, figure out how to, put it together. Like, we know Tibbs is going to be a defense-oriented coach. We get that. He plays his starters so many minutes and things like that. And I just think that the Knicks organization didn't really like that, and so they decided, we're getting rid of Tibbs. But I think it's just a stupid move by the New York Knicks to get rid of Tibbs just like that. Especially when he's taken you to the Eastern Conference Finals and the furthest you've gone in years. And I don't think Tibbs deserves that. And he was there 5 years. I can't believe it. That went fast. But no, I think it's absurd. I think the Knicks are going to regret doing that. And I think, they might not be better off with that. And I could see Cat getting traded. But just to use a new soundbite, this is what I'll say about it.
That was a mistake.
It was a mistake. It was an absolute mistake for them to get fired Tibbs. So I will defend Tibbs on that. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this was definitely a mistake given the fact of, the last couple of years, and you finally get the right pieces in order you get Cat in the mix there, you get Jalen Brunson playing at a high level. You got Josh Hart in the mix there too. Why not give it another year? And what do you really accomplish by letting go a coach that got you to the Eastern Conference Finals in back-to-back, or at least in a successful season? Last year they got a lot of guys hurt, a lot of injuries that really dispelled their playoff run overall to get them, even to the Eastern Conference semis at that point. And just not enough in the tank at that point. Then you offload a couple of back-ended contracts and at least some players that, needed to either start making plays or find somewhere else to go. And they get a guy like, they get Cat. He becomes a, star in the big city for sure and really kind of guides this team and at least starting to produce at a higher level. Now you just set yourself back probably another season or two at minimum for the Knicks and bringing in a new coach, because sometimes even with a new coach, there's going to be new coaching staff and new situations and at least changes overall to which things might not gel right away, or it could be the smartest move ever. I just don't see the likely, thought process of the Knicks in letting go a guy that got you as far as they did. You give it at least another year. Maybe if they don't make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals at that point, then I would say you let him go. But I think this was a wrong move in their part for sure.
It's the Knicks, I think, are going to be in this hole for a little bit now, because now you're going to get a new coach. Hopefully he can, hopefully that coach can bring them to where if that coach doesn't bring them to the Eastern Conference Finals or even the Finals for that matter, then they're going to be in question. Then you're going to fire that next guy. Then guys are going to get upset. Guys are going to want money. So I think, we're in agreement. This is not a good idea. All right, last one, Voldy.
Well, we head back to the world of the NHL, where technology is furthering their way into the game itself, as the general managers will be meeting later on in the spring, of course, later on this year with Commissioner Gary Bettman, whether to expand a tracking technology to determine a variety of things with certainty, from high sticking or whether a puck successfully crossed the goal line or not. The NHL is taking another step in the direction of what innovation could be with the use of Hawkeye measuring and tracking as part of their partnership with Sony that did bring forth, of course, a number of new innovations to the sport itself. Now, of course, with Hawkeye tracking and measuring on top of it, they've determined a few things along the way with, of course, in years past with expanding replay to help in making things quicker and faster for challenges, as well as goal reviews on top of it, as opposed to the long process that they had to wait when it came to, of course, sending things to the NHL offices back in Toronto. Now, the technology has also improved to the point where cameras have also captured 29 skeletal points on each player and 3 more on sticks when it comes to determining possible injuries, and also contact enough when it comes to various penalties that could be with, of course, in high sticking, and also how that could play out into tracking pucks when they come close to the goal line and whether or not a goal was a goal or not. Well, with everything that has come into it, and of course the expanded technology in other sports, and of course through the use of replay and various systems, is it absurd or proved with the expansion in Hawkeye's use? Could it be beneficial for the league in the future?
I'm going to say yes. It seems like this way of getting it to improve is gone quite well. They're getting close to kind of perfecting it, and if you have multiple angles and things to figure out from that, it makes sense for them to look into this and use this, have this in their arsenal in order things if things go wrong and they have to get the call right and things like that. If it's going to improve player safety, like, I'm all for it. I mean, it's got my stamp of approval. I mean, it's pretty simple for me to put it like that, because, I mean, the NHL hasn't done, the smartest things, to say the least, but to improve player safety, things like that, I think this is a good idea for them to, have different angles and just make sure that they're getting things right. And, I like the name of it, though, too, Hawkeye, and it's got a hyphen between it. I don't know. I like the way it's put together with that. So, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval, Voldy. I think this should be all right. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm all for it as well. If we can find a way to keep things in perspective and determining whether goals are not goals, and, player safety on top of it, that's something that's been part of the league's initiative, with the introduction of instant replay challenges as well by coaches. If we can get definitive proof whether something is a goal or not, that is fantastic. I'm all for that. It's definitely got my stamp of approval, because without the improvement of technology and at least integrating it into the leagues themselves, just continue to, make things harder and harder for them to look towards the future. And I like the fact that the NHL is taking that step forward in the right direction. It's got my stamp of approval for sure.
Well, there you have it. Quick update. Panthers 3-2 over Edmonton right now. So, yeah, there are some goals that happened, and I just missed them. But it's all right. Great job with ARA this week, Voldy, as always. And,
Thanks, sir.
We got some Shield shout-outs. Big news from a lot of the Minnesota sports. Some just, it's RIP and whatnot. So we'll go over that with Shield shoutouts. So let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
right, Shield, who you shouting at today?
Well, it is a bit of a somber, if you will, Shield shoutouts here this week. Starting off, of course, after the finish of the season for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it most likely is the end for Minnesota Mike himself. Best of luck in retirement to Mike Conley after 17 seasons in the NBA. He did announce his retirement after, of course, the Timberwolves did fall in the Western Conference Finals. Contributions across the league overall from his time in Memphis and now finishing in Minnesota. Mike Conley will certainly be missed after the last handful of seasons since coming over to the Timberwolves, and we do wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. Sadly, a member of the Minnesota Vikings did pass this week, and the all-time Iron Man, 270 consecutive starts in a Vikings uniform, 282 in total. Jimmarshall sadly passed away at the age of 87, who was a captain for the Vikings, 14 seasons, including 4 appearances in the Super Bowl as a member of the famed Purple People Eaters defense under the late great coach Ian Bud Grant. Sadly, Jim Marshall passed away here this passed away this week from the Minnesota Vikings. And sadly as well, for those that did grow up watching sports in the, well, we'll say the mid to late aughts, you probably knew the show Sports Science. And sadly, the former host of Sports Science, Johnbrenkus, sadly lost his battle with mental health and depression, as it was announced in a statement this past week. Of course, Sports Science, back in the days when Fox Sports North and those shows that they did run, of course, testing a bevy of things, but ultimately becoming a part of the ESPN family in Sports Science. And Johnbrenkus still had his stamp on the world of sports within itself. Sadly, Johnbrenkus did pass away this week after losing his battle with mental health. And sadly, that will do it for Shield shoutouts this week.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it was a really sad week, especially Johnbrenkus. I mean, I used to watch that a lot, just because I was just so fascinated by, how that worked. And
it's kind of weird because randomly some of those segments will just run in my mind. I think like when they tried to figure out how to doctor a baseball enough, does it get more curve to it? I think they had with Jake Peavy or somebody. Sure. And like the one thing that I always remember, it's like he used peanut butter or something on a ball to see if it would get more break, and it was just a mess. I don't know why I think about that a lot. That's my Roman Empire, I guess, in that regard. But yeah, that was certainly one. And then there was one where they had a strongman or a bodybuilder of some sort, if yelling before hitting something actually gives you more strength, and they had them run through concrete blocks or something. They did it before shouting and then after shouting, and it actually proved that shouting before doing something of that magnitude actually does increase your level of quote-unquote strength by a little bit. So stuff like that. I loved Sports Science back in the day. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was very informative and also funny at the same time.
Yes, and there was one episode where he was actually, Johnbrenkus was in football pads. I forget, was it Ray Lewis or was it somebody, I can't remember, or Patrick Willis maybe?
I can't remember. It might have been Patrick Willis now that I think about it. Yeah.
But he got rocked, and I'm like, I'm just shocked that you're doing this with that. I mean, he's huge compared to, and again, especially with depression, mental health, and things like that. I mean, you really feel for him and whatnot. So, R.I.P. to him. Obviously, yesterday hit home for a lot of fans who watched Jim Marshall play, including Papa Callahan, and as well as probably Jimbo as well, watching Jim Marshall. Voldy, it is an absolute crime that he is not a Hall of Famer in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That is absolutely asinine. He's gotten close a couple times, but it's just him not getting in, and especially when he was still alive. It's a travesty that he's not. But I mean, the stats prove itself. I mean, he's part of the best group of defensive linemen ever. So I don't understand that. So I'm sure him and Bud are having some good old conversations up there too. So, and Mike Conley, you know, I've been so impressed by him. I think he was great to have here on the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I just think it just kind of caught up to him this year. And that's just that's the sad part about it. But you know what? I have a lot of respect for him. He's a true professional, and we love Mike Conley here. So great job with Shield Shoutouts, Voldy. I kind of have one of my own because, as you can see, Voldy, I am wearing St. Thomas Academy pullover that I got, 2017 or something when I coached basketball. Today was a very special day. It was a luncheon for the retirees at St. Thomas Academy. One of them being Papa Callahan, so claps out to Papa Callahan. 41 years at St. Thomas Academy.
Wow.
Couldn't be more proud of Papa Callahan. But he is not, technically he's not leaving. I mean, he'll still be around a little bit, but just not as much. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Very proud. And I'll have to tell you off air because I'll have a post about it. Something funny happened at the retirement thing, so I'll have to show it to you. So I'll and the zoners, you'll see it at some point here. So pretty funny. But congratulations to him. Saw a lot of former teachers that it was a blast talking to, and thank you to all who came. And saw Papa Callahan and whatnot, and so it was really fun. But anywho, we have got that merch. Voldy, what do we newly have? What do we got?
No, of course, we got our new hats. That's right, 5th anniversary logo. We got it in gray and black. We've got it in gray and white as well. Got 5 of each. First come, first serve on these bad boys. Get them while they're still here. Don't know sooner or later if we're going to be getting any more. So definitely want to get them before they disappear.
I'm telling you, it's gold. It's all that gold, baby.
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
It's just looking pretty fly, so you guys gotta check it out. And if you're like, I really haven't had a chance to look at the other stuff, well, we've got plenty for you. The stickers, the hats, the shirts, the sweatpants, the tumblers, the winter caps if you want to get it ahead on your winter for coming up this year. I mean, we got it all.
Father's Day coming up soon. Might as well get some stuff for Father's Day.
That is correct, and especially we have some things in the works as well. It's quite fitting for summer. That's all I have to say about it. Quite fitting for summer, and that was a pretty good one.
Hopefully.
So you guys will we will let you know. There's some more things that we are working on currently. So keep in tune with us on that. And thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knudsen for the stickers. And you know the deal. Check out our guy, W2 Performance, Will Rattel, www.w2performance.com. Check him out on the socials, on the YouTubes. He's got videos posted daily. Got to get Rattel on here soon as well. But make sure you check out the Brotherly Ballers podcast. Tyler Herman and Jack Vickers, they will get you set up with all your fantasy football needs. And make sure you check out our guy, TLS Performance, Troy Stoudemire Jr., with his stuff on the socials. And make sure you check out Popcorn Bucket List, Pete, BL, Nick Dahlhoff, and Ryan Rhino Marburg as well. Omni Entertainment, keeping you up to date on all the latest movies and other things, giving you all the greatest reviews and everything in between. So make sure you check all those guys out. And that's going to do it for episode 242. A lot of finals going on with hockey, with the NBA as well, so make sure you check those out. We'll keep you up to date on any big Minnesota news coming your way. Vikings are starting mini camp, so maybe we'll have some stuff with that. So we will go from there. So without further ado, as always, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.